So greetings from Pennsylvania once again, and I'm back in one of my favorite places, although I haven't been here for several years. I think since 2019, but this is Bear Valley here in Dauphin County. One of the most remote places you're going to get to here in Pennsylvania, to be honest. Just even to get to this spot, it's a 4-mile dirt road just to get here. Pretty rough road at times. But yeah, a lot of history back here. I've been back here a number of times. There is an old coal mining town back here. Lots of coal mining ruins back that way. There's all kinds of tunnels. There's the Williamstown tunnel, which goes all the way through the mountain back there. It's collapsed though, but you can see parts of it. All kinds of mining ruins. And there's a village here too, associated with the coal mining ruins. And I never really found what I was looking for remnants of the village every time I was back here. I assumed it was right here in this clearing, and that assumption is correct. I actually recently checked out some old historical aerial photographs, which I'll share with you in a little bit. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling here, but the point, I'm back here today. Today's a beautiful spring day. You can see it started to turn green a little bit, but the foliage is still down, so it's a good time to explore. I'm not necessarily going to go to the mining ruins today, at least that's not the plan, because I don't always follow my own plans. But I'm looking more for remnants of the village itself, where the people lived. That's what today's plan is. Yeah, so down here is the road you can come in on. Bear Valley Road. It's just an old dirt road. It does continue on that way. And it continues, well, part of it's gated off. Well, there's two parts. It kind of splits off, but that goes for another 8 miles or so through this valley. But the coal mining ruins themselves are down off that way. There's that mountain I mentioned. The Williamstown tunnel goes all the way through it. We might talk about that a little bit later, but that's not really the point of today's video. But yeah, here is this clearing. Last time I was here, I kind of suspected that this is where the village was, or some of the buildings. They got Naomi. And that is indeed the case. That tree is one hint, and the daffodils blooming down below it. But I think right here is where one of the buildings was located, whether it was the general store or the school. So we're going to explore this area. Maybe go up in the woods a little bit. I don't think I ever explored up there before. And I'm also going to head down that way. There's a kind of a clearing down there. Well, back in the day there was more of a clearing down there, so I'm going to go back down there to see what we can find. So I do plan on making a much more thorough video of this place in the future and add it to my Ghost Towns of Pennsylvania series. But I would like to find more evidence of the village first before I do that. I should mention too that, like I said, I've been here a number of times in the past, like in 2016, 2017, and I actually met a guy who lived here back in like the 30s, like the early 30s. When I talked with him, he was 93 years old. That was fascinating, just to you come and visit places like this and see all the ruins and stuff, and to actually meet someone who lived here. You know, this village was here, mid 1800s roughly to about 1933, I think, and he lived here back in the last couple days of the village. That was really interesting. All right, let's quit blabbing a little bit. Oh, I gotta share some pictures with you first too. Let me do that in a moment here. So right here is this clearing once again. Got the big old oak tree. That's a sign that this clearing has been here for a while. Notice that tree has grown up and spread outwards. A lot of trees that grow up in the woods grow up more tall and straight because they're competing, but this tree's been here for a while in this open area. But let me show you. Let me throw up a Google Maps current image, a satellite image of currently what this place looks like. Yes, on that satellite image you can clearly see the clearing. Now I'm going to throw up 2 images. I found a new tool to play with at home. In the past, people told me about a website called Pen Pilot. We're running to Pennsylvania and Pilot in the Sky. I don't think that website exists anymore because it took me to some other website. Maybe I'll put the name here. But it's all these historical aerial photographs from all the way back into like the late 30s up through the 70s and stuff. So I have two files I downloaded. One's from about probably the late 30s and one's from roughly 1970. So because I zoomed in on them, so the resolution's a little bit iffy, but it shows this same clearing. You can clearly see the one house, or the one, I don't know if it's a house or a general store or the school that was right here. So I'll put those 2 up. Maybe I'll circle where the house, that building is located. Yeah, and so in those images, that building I circled was right in here. Maybe right where Naomi is parked. Of course, the clearing is a little bit bigger in those pictures. A lot of these trees up there weren't there. Somewhere in here was that building. That tree is probably super old from back in that time too. And if you look at those pictures, it looks like there's other little driveways that came up and through here too. There's not too many other buildings in those pictures. Like I said, we're just gonna explore around and see what all we can find. There's a ton of daffodils up here. That's always a sign that there were buildings here, or homes. Those are not natural. Check out that old tree. He's seen a lot of history. It'd be cool if you could talk to the tree, ask it questions about where everything is, but that's not possible. Yeah, they're all the beautiful daffodils. Yeah, so in those photos I shared with you, you can only really see the one building, or maybe a few smaller ones. There would have been more buildings here, but I think by the time those pictures were taken, maybe a lot of the buildings have been torn down already. And in fact, sometimes when these villages shut down, they would move some of the smaller houses to another location and use them elsewhere. So maybe that's what happened here. Because I'm pretty sure, like you said, you see the one, but I'm sure there were probably more here on the other side of the road. It looks like there's little like bare spots where driveways were and stuff. I'm wondering if there are more up in the woods here too. All right, so I'm gonna go into exploring mode here. We're just gonna start checking things out. Nice, down there's Naomi again. I love this big old tree. He was definitely here in the heyday of that town. I do see a cinder block up there, but I know in the one old photo it looked like there was an old driveway going up this way, and there's kind of a trail going up this way. Like I said, I don't think I ever explored up this way too much. Yeah, there's one lone cinder block sitting out here. Not sure that would be from the town. Someone may have just brought that out here. Yeah, going up through here, it's really rocky, so I'm not sure if they would have made houses up there or not. But we're gonna try to be thorough today. Beautiful day. It's supposed to thunderstorm later today, but we should at least have a couple hours. Yeah, so more than likely there are homes through here. Oh yeah, there's one thing I'm looking for specifically. That's right. I forget that old man that I talked to that used to live here. He mentioned something to me. Give me a hint as to something to look for. Yeah, almost here it looks like there's almost like a right angle right here, like this is a foundation of something, a home maybe. Because it kind of goes up in that way. It's kind of like a row of stones there, so maybe someone's house or some outbuilding stood right here. Yeah, I'll tell you in a moment what that fellow told me to look for. I forget his name offhand. I have it written in one of my older notebooks. Oh, hello, hello. Look what I spy in the rocks down there. There's a snake down in there. Oh, he sees us. There's several of them. Oh, there's several of them, I think. Just checking out, guys. Oh, there's just one. Looked like there were two of them in there. I'm not gonna hurt you, buddy. He doesn't want anything to do with me. There he goes. Slithering off. The last resident of Bear Valley. So he was not dangerous. I'm pretty sure it's the black snake, or could have been a black racer. Like I still see him up there. Maybe we'll take another look at him. I don't want to bug him too much though. Yeah, the fella that used to live out here, he said, well, out in these coal mining areas, they have remnants of what's called a coal ash, because they were mining coal out here, but they also burned coal for like steam power, and the ash from the coal they would just deposit some places. They would kind of solidify into like, look, this rock-like stuff. And he said where one of the houses was, there was a well, and they stuck one of those big hunks of coal ash right on top of the well. So we'll see if we can find that. I have a feeling that might be more down on the other side of the road. But we'll see. Our snake buddy is still there. Let me zoom in on him. He's checking us out there in the rocks. He's like, well, I want that guy, just leave me alone. Yeah, we see you in there. Pretty sure if I see some, yeah, that's a rat snake. You see the yellowish, or the whitish color under his mouth? It's a black snake. Alright, we will let him go. Do whatever it is he's got to do. Areas like this are super flat and clear. Almost had to have been a house here. It almost looks like an old driveway coming up through here. There's another like raised flat area. So we're just up there on that flat area. Here's what looks like that old driveway. Here's one of those flat raised areas. Perhaps some, foundation stones over here. Maybe. I know some people will ask, well, why don't you bring a metal detector out here? Do some metal detecting. Well, we are on state game lands, and metal detecting is illegal here on state game lands. So that's one of the reasons why I don't do it. And down in here's a sunken in area. I'm gonna guess that's a well. It has that look to it. If it shows up on camera, you can see the shape of it there. All right, making my way back to my buddy, the tree, the daffodils. I think I'm gonna walk up that way a little bit. Like I said, eventually we'll head to the other side of the road. There's some clearing. There's a clearing on the other side too. I've never been down there at all, ever. This clearing I did explore just a little bit one year. I think it was summertime and all this underbrush was higher, so I didn't do much. Let's go up this way. Okay, so there is a trail up here, like an old road. I kind of remember this. I think, it goes back to, there's another little parking area just down there. I remember looking up that way, being parked down there looking up here, and realizing I need to explore that someday, but I never did. So, you know what that means. I think we'll just check it out since we're here. See what's up this way. Maybe we'll find a surprise. So we are finding stuff, just not necessarily cool stuff. Tons of broken glass. Not sure if that's from the historical time era or if that's just more modern. But back here, what's this? Interesting rock back there. But I did find some other chunks of metal back that way. A lot of this stuff too. This is like slag or some type of solidified coal ash. It's not rock. There's another chunk of it in there. Alright, so our little road is going to turn up this way. But yeah, look at all this. This is all evidence of the mining back here. So all these mounds of waste rock. That's what they dug out from this trench down here, looking for coal. Okay, that's a fairly deep one down there. Yeah, this is all man-made. Digging out coal. They just piled the waste rock up to the top there. You can barely make out the road we came in on down there. More piles of waste rock. Okay, so our road continues. I guess so shall we. There's looking down through that trench again. Yeah, no, it's just exploring that village area, but we'll get back to it. I'm just taking a detour here. Detours can sometimes lead to pretty awesome spots. Yeah, you know, up off to our left, there's tons of huge trenches up through that way. Those are kind of fun to explore. All right, some more evidence of the mining. Got a big pit here filled with water. Oh, some frogs in there. Here's another trench. They dug out, oh, and up in there, that little gap, there's another huge trench up through there. It goes all along the edge of the mountain. Take a look down in this one. Oh, there is some stacked stone up there. Up, I don't know if you can see it up through there. Let me see if I can zoom in on that a little bit. Yes, there it is. It's not sure what that. Maybe I think we might be able to walk up there. Get a better look. Like a little stone bridge across here. Lots of little pits everywhere. Watch for snakes. Yeah, right here. Some stacked rock. Quite a bit of it. Alright, so down there's the road we're walking on. I'm going to quick take you to the top of this and show you the big trench on the other side. If you're this close. Get up here. Maybe I'll turn you off for a moment. Alright, almost to the top. It's just a bit slippy getting up here. Oh, okay, so this one isn't. Okay. There's another big pit over here. Over here is the trench. Okay, I see something interesting over there. But here's the huge trench they built, dug through here. Okay, it is pretty deep over here. Just goes all the way along the mountain here. As far as you can walk, miles that way. But over here could be something interesting. There's a pit right there, but it looks eroded a lot more. See what's going on here. Oh. Oh. Yeah. That goes down. There's a hole down there. Let's see if we can get another view of it from over there. I don't think I've ever seen this one. That's a hole down to nowhere. I come into the other side. Gotta be careful. Don't want to get too close to the edge or you will be down at the bottom whether you want to be or not. Yeah, that is intriguing, but also very dangerous. Try to zoom in on it for you a little bit here. Yeah, I can't quite tell how deep that goes. My guess is that it only goes so deep and then there's a tunnel that runs parallel this way, because they dug these trenches parallel, like the big one we just pointed out. So maybe that was an underground section. There's like a drift that goes this way and that way. I'm gonna guess. But however intriguing that one is, that one's pretty dangerous. You can see how getting out of here would be almost difficult. Almost impossible scramble out of here. Alright. Intriguing, but we shall let it go. Alright, so I'm back on that old road. I'm gonna keep exploring it just a little bit more. See where it goes. We've come this far. We will get back to what I was doing eventually. Looking for that village on the other side of the road there. But yeah, that's what I love about this place. Every time I come out here, I'm always finding new stuff. New interesting things. Those pits are interesting, but I found old cars back here, like an old truck from like the 30s or 40s. All kinds of ruins. It's just a fun place. It can be dangerous, just be careful. You know, things like that. You don't want to, especially in the summertime where the foliage is a lot thicker and some of those pits are hidden more. You don't want to just like stumble on one and go bye-bye. Alright, so this road probably goes on, but our journey is over for us on this road at least. I do see posted signs up ahead. Maybe that border with state game lands, which is what we're on. Alright, so we shall turn around, make our way back to that clearing, and I think we'll explore a little bit on the other side of the road, in an area that I know that I have never explored before. We'll see what we can find. I'm looking for that old well with that chunk of like coal ash on top of it. Let's see if we can find any remnants of foundations down there. Oh, bunch of bones. Someone didn't make it. Looks like a deer. There's its jaw up there. So, alright, just adds to the aura of the video. Alright. Alright, so we are back. I see Naomi parked down there. So we're gonna head down here and then head to the other side of the road. See what we can find. I think it's a bit more overgrown on that side too, but we'll do what we can. There's our buddy, the big old tree too. Alright, here we are. Already we have evidence of humans. I believe this is an apple tree. Man, that smells amazing. It's full of bees. We can hear them on the camera. Boy, that fragrance is. Wow. The bees love it too. Yeah, not something you find in the wild usually. Maybe a pear tree. Now that I think about it, it looks more like a pear than an apple. Because there's two more of them here. But there's a cut off telephone pole down there. Right there. Alright, let's have a look around. So here's what it looks like down here. This is looking back up towards the road. Back up there where there's what I think are pear trees. Naomi is just, I can kind of see her through the woods up there, but once again there's multiple open like flat areas here which could be indicative of a house site. Different spots there's piles of rock, which could just be piles of rock, but sometimes it's location where maybe like a chimney stack was or something that collapsed. There's a larger tree in the back here. Notice once again how it's spread out, so this tree is probably pretty old. It's probably back here in the time of the town. This would be the edge of the clearing back in the day. Because when you head down in there, it's like more like regular woods. Yeah, and here's another fruit tree. That definitely looks like a pear. Remember how these looked when we had them on the farm? This one looks dead though. Or just about. There's a little bit of life in it, maybe. Like right here. You know, so fruit trees like that are always a sign that people are living back here. Got a possible cellar hole right in here. Oh, actually, I think we do. Oh yeah, that's what this would be. Because I do see a line of stone right there. Foundation stones going up through there. Oh, this is our first legit cellar hole. Let's go down around, get a better look. Yes, we definitely have a house site here, or a building of some sort. Here's some old roofing material probably. All right, our first cellar hole. Oh yeah, here's a bottle. Or maybe, oh, it looks like a glass tumbler of some sort from back in the day. Some other stuff. Yeah. All right, this is more like it. Yeah, once again, there's some of the foundation stones up there going up that way. This is what I was hoping to find back here. There's some metal strapping. A couple of pieces of brick in here. All right. So we are standing in someone's basement back in the time of Bear Valley. I said up to about 1933, but dating back to the 1800s too. Yeah, I was hoping to find something. We're down here, like I said, the road's just up there, we're down at the edge of the clearing, so maybe the houses were on the edge of the clearing. So maybe in those photographs I showed, depending on the angle, maybe those houses were hidden. So I showed you one photo from like the late 30s, roughly when the town closed down, and one was from the 70s, and then one building on the other side of the road was still there. There were people still living back here, I think into the 70s, but then around that time the Game Commission acquired this land, and then all those buildings were taken away with. This isn't necessarily meant as a compliment, but when the Game Commission takes over places like this, they do a good job of erasing historical evidence of places. Like I said, that's not necessarily a compliment though. Alright, cool. Like I said, I've never been down here, so that's one cellar hole. We're gonna keep on going. Still looking for that well, like that fella mentioned. I'd love to find that, because it would tie his story with what I'm doing right here. Because it could be maybe more that way. I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep looking. Just up in there is our cellar hole, and I came down here and look what we find. Somebody might be thinking, what is that, or what are you looking at? Well, this is an old road cut down through here. Clearly an old road. So we are going to check this out. That actually heads down towards where the mining ruins are, but this is definitely a cut out old road. So we're going to follow it up this way first. So maybe there's more ruins up this way, and then we'll check out the other way. Yeah, so here's looking down one way, that road. We were just up there, that one cellar hole was. So we're gonna go up this way first, and then we'll go back the other way. All right, I never knew this was here. Although some of the old images kind of showed there being like a road back here or something, or maybe even like a power line or something. So I'm gonna keep my eyes up here too for some more cellar holes. Alright, so I just stopped for a little break along this old road for some snack and some water. And we'll get going a little bit. Didn't really see anything up this way. But yeah, the clouds have rolled in. Some of them look kind of dark. This was a rain later today, but it's only like 12:30, so we'll see. But we got to keep our eyes on the road for foundations and stuff. We also got to keep an eye to the sky now. Alright, let's get going. Alright, so onward we go. Just like so, just keep an eye on the sky too. So I have never been down here. I mean, way down that way I have. Like I said, the coal mining ruins are down that way. But as far as right in here, on this old road, this will all be new. So I'm looking forward to that. Just trying to look off to the side too. See if there's anything out there. And of course, just as soon as I said that, there is, I believe we have another cellar hole up here. Or something. Yeah, I'm gonna guess that's what this is. There's another little depression here. Yeah, there's some metal. Some roofing metal. So another little, looks like another little building was right in here. Some sort. Oh, you know what? Oh, hold on a second. Look at that up in the woods. That is a chunk of coal ash. So maybe this is our well. Well, that'd be so awesome. Get into these rocks, stumbling. It is awesome. Well, I just think I just stepped on some more metal stuff. Yeah, we found it. Oh, wow. Yeah. This is what that fellow was talking about. I was hoping we would find it today, but there it is. Yeah, this is that coal ash. It's solidified coal ash. But yeah, it's on top of the old well here. Oh, wow. That's pretty deep. Can't quite tell how deep though, because this chunk of coal ash is on top of it. But yeah, that's what it is. There it is. Awesome. Huh. Actually, looking up through the clearing, I can see Naomi up through the woods there. So we're just down from the road. Down here it is. Huh. You know, yeah, like I said, I was hoping to find it, but of all places, here it is. Wow. Because that ties, I remember that guy, 93-year-old guy, talking about living back here in the 30s and coming back here and visiting and finding that the old well, I don't know if this is the well that he used, but he said they covered it with a big chunk of this coal ash. Awesome. Alright, so history coming to life. Right there's our little, that's what we were looking for, or one of the things, hoping to find out here. So this is indeed the location of the village. Actually, you know, I feel like I see something up there I gotta check out now too. This is the location of the village. So maybe on the other side of the road was where like the school, the general store was, and this side is where the village was, by this old road. That's cool. If I'm getting distracted, I see something up there. It looks like an old insulator. Let me quick go up there and check that out. Then we'll get back to the road. If I don't get distracted with something else. Alright, pretty awesome. There she is. Yep, here's an old insulator for like the power lines. Some chunks of coal. Yeah, a lot of, oh, there's some old, oh, there's like some old stuff here. But yeah, here's an old insulator. That thing is heavy. Oops, it rolls away. There's a lot of these down by the mining ruins. Oh yeah, here's some, this is like a trash pit right here. Okay, cool. Looks like this would have been an older jar right here. A little bit older. Got the white one. That milk glass. There's quite a bit of stuff here. Nothing really old. Here's like a ketchup bottle. Because like people were living here up until like the 70s, so some of this is going to be newer. This looks older, but it's a screw top though. Here's one that is, oh, this is older. It's broken though. I'll cut myself. Yeah, it's got some embossing on it. Let's see what it says. It's like, I can't really tell, it's broken off there, but that definitely has the color and the look and the embossing of a much older jar there. Cool. All right, I was kind of hoping maybe to find an old dump too, but here's one is. All kinds of scattered pieces of broken pottery and all over the place. Here's a blue, probably mason jar. Yeah, probably the bottom of a blue mason jar. Here. Oh, here's some beautiful, oh, look at that cute little piece of crockery. Nice colors to it. It's history, man. This is people, remnants of people's lives that lived back here. Like, I'm seeing stuff everywhere. Probably more modern. Brown jar. There's another. This one looks a little bit older. Alright, I'm probably not the first person to look through this though. If there was anything, there's one of these white ones that's broken. Alright. Tells a story. Lots of colorful stuff back here. What's this one? Oh, that looks older too. Look at that thick glass. Old bottle. Yeah, I see one down in there. There's another bit of a blue mason jar. Let's see if we can grab that one down there. Got some barberry bushes here in the way. Let's see what this is. Is it broken? Oh yeah, it is. But check that out. Look at that thick glass. Get on camera here. That's a thicker one. Yeah, there's some older stuff here. It's a shame it's broken though. Alright, cool. Alright, but we need to move on, or else I'll be spending all day just looking through that dump. Get around this. Walk past their old well again. So I'm going to make my way a little bit more down that road, but this is kind of what I was looking for. This is the village area. So cool. Just look at that old well again. Get a branch. And once again, there's the old well. Not sure if the whole village used it or for a single house. I wouldn't be surprised if the whole village came here and used that. That makes me really happy though that we found this. All right, let's go back to that old road and keep going a little bit more. We can find the road again. Go down this way. All right, so back on the old road again. Yeah, way up ahead I can see a bit of a clearing. That is where some of the coal mining ruins are. Which I mentioned, there's a lot of them up there. It's a whole adventure on its own. Get past this. And then down this way you can see the huge piles of coal waste again. Make our way down a little bit more. Keep looking at that sky back there. I think we'll be alright though. Yeah. This is not natural hills. This is all just material from the mines that they dug up. Keep our eyes open for fossils too. You know, just looking ahead, seeing a trail kind of curve off that way, thinking maybe it's time to turn around. Because there's nothing village-wise back here, I don't think. Then I was getting ready to turn around, and then I just took a look over here, and wow, there's a serious amount of stuff back here. There's a dump back here. Looks like some old vehicles. Huh. Yeah, I mean, these are definitely parts to old cars. There's a steering wheel. Some other stuff, some old cans. Bunch of old tires. So yeah, I mean, this is like a whole vehicle right here. Kind of see, looks like, oh yeah, I'm trying to make out the different parts. Another one here. Alright. Yes, it's a dump, old cars, but it's still kind of cool. That looks like more like an old, not sure what that is, like an old freezer or something maybe? Not sure if there's something related to the mine or not. Maybe it's not like a regular car. You know, if you have ideas, of course you can say something in the comments. Maybe one of the vehicles they used for the mines or something. I don't know. Although, okay, look at that. There. Okay, see, that looks like the hood of something right there. And that would be the dash right there. That's what that looks like. Almost like there's a little symbol there or something. Yeah, because here's some old buttons you could push. There's like the glove box, the glove compartment. Okay. Yep, there was that other, that looks like a really old vehicle right there of some sort. I'll show this side of it. Someone can make out, oh, okay, here we have it. It's a Ford. Look at that. There's the Ford. What, yeah, I mean, this is pretty awesome. I mean, I'm not a huge car person, but I do like old cars. These just look really old. I mean, if they're from the time of the village, that's back in the 30s and 20s and stuff. Here's another one. Looks like the dash. Looks like the steering wheel been right here. There's the dash. There's the glove box over there. All right, let's have a look around some more. Yeah, check this thing out. Old Ford truck or something, maybe. So what did I tell you about this place at the beginning of the video? Every time I come here, I find new stuff. Today's no exception. I mean, I found stuff that I was hoping to find, like that old well where the village was. We found so much other stuff. We got a deep pit in the ground. Some super old cars back there. Wow. Alright, so I'm being drawn to walk on a little bit more. But I do have to turn back at some point. But, wow. Yeah, I feel like I'm going to come back here another day and just explore again. Whenever I do make that video on this ghost town, there's a ton back here to show. Alright. That sky's getting a little bit dark back there. Well, let's go on just a little bit more. Alright, well, the path goes ever on. Isn't there a deep coal mining trench that they dug out? Alright. Looks like there's another trail that goes off that way. But, now you can see that in the distance. I think it's time to make our way out of here. There's a pretty strong cold front coming through. We've had some awesome warm days recently. It was like almost 80 degrees the past couple days, but tomorrow is Easter and it's gonna be cold again. Maybe only 40 something. So that's what that is. That's that cold front coming through. So I gotta get out of here. Some thunderstorms and stuff. Not afraid of the rain, but with all my equipment and stuff, my camera and gear and stuff, I'd prefer that didn't get all wet. So we'll make our way back. But an awesome adventure out here today. Found so much new stuff. Explored some areas I never explored in the past. In the past, I kind of kept going back to some of the ruins that are over there. You know, if you've been with me for a long time, you might remember some of those videos. I mentioned that tunnel through the mountain, where the main buildings were for the coal mining. All kinds of pretty awesome ruins up that way. So that kind of those ruins always kind of drew me in to keep exploring First time I kind of explored some of these other areas, and wow. And come across those cars again. Yeah, if you have any idea what those cars are, let me know. They look old. Like I said, if they're from this time era, because sometimes in places like this, you know, newer cars are dumped, but those look old from the time period. And right up there's Naomi, right where we left her. Thankfully. No rain yet either. Alright, gotta catch my breath a little bit, kind of hustled back. But yeah, I had an amazing time today. One of my favorite things to do is to do this, where you just explore these abandoned areas out here in the middle of nowhere and find awesome stuff. We found that well, that piece of coal ash. I had my doubts that we were gonna find it, but just boom, right there it was. Found the town dump, so we did find the town itself. That was the main thing I was hoping to find today. We wandered off, detoured off that way, found some ruins, coal mining evidence up that way, a deep pit down the ground. And we found those old trucks, those old cars. They look like they have to be from the 30s or the 20s, man. Those things are old. That was awesome to find too. So, like I said, every time I come out here, I find something new. So I feel like we need to come out here again sometime soon. All right, but for now, I'm gonna get home, and not sure what I'll do. I think I've got to eat something. All right. As always, thanks for coming along, and I'll see you on the next one.